I welcome you to module 27th of the course of UN SDGs. So in this module we are going to study SDGs and socio-ecological systems. So on economy we have SDGs 8, 9, 10 and 12. On society SDGs we have 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 11th and 16th. On biosphere SDGs we have 6th, 13th, 14th and 15th. So SDGs and socio-ecological systems. The SDGs are a comprehensive and integrated set of goals that address the economic, social and environmental dimensions of sustainable development. They are interrelated and indivisible, as we have seen in the previous module, meaning that progress in one area is dependent on progress in others. The SDGs are a universal framework for action applicable to all countries and all stakeholders and require the mobilization of resources and the engagement of all sectors of society. So as you can understand, SDGs are such a set, which are part of this overall ecosystem in this whole planet, and they are very much interrelated, indivisible and interdependent. Okay, so that means a lot. That interrelated means they have some repercussion of some sort on the others. Indivisible, that we cannot keep them in isolation. Okay, they are always so intertwined and interconnected that they need to be there, all of them together for a comprehensive outcome. And interdependencies, there are a lot of factors for which they are dependent on one another, and this is why this interdependency a factor is also integrated in the set of UN SDG goals. So here these three categories, if you see, are arranged in a unique fashion. In this one you will see SDG 17 coming at the a center of all of this. Okay, partnerships for the goals, here you can see in the center, and then besides this it is flanked by this society, and then economy, and then biosphere. Okay, so in society we have SDG 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 5, 16 and 11. And then economy we have SDG 8, 9, 12 and 10. And then in biosphere we have SDG 6, 15, 14 and 13. Right? So economy SDGs, if you see here, these goals focus on promoting sustainable economic growth, reducing inequality and ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns. Society SDGs, here in the middle, right, in the center area you can see, these goals focus on ending poverty and hunger, promoting health and education, achieving gender equality and creating inclusive and safe communities. And then biosphere SDGs, these goals focus on protecting the environment, conserving biodiversity and addressing climate change. Okay, so this is how this layout is arranged. So now we will move to the first set, SDG and socio-ecological systems, economy SDGs 8, 9 and 12. So here in this, first we will discuss about the SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. This goal aims to promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment and decent work for all. It includes targets to achieve higher levels of economic productivity through diversification, technological upgrading and innovation, with a focus on creating jobs and increasing income opportunities for all. SDG 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure. This goal aims to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and foster innovation. It includes targets to increase the access to infrastructure and technology, to support industries that create jobs and to increase the number of businesses that are owned and controlled by women and other marginalized groups. So you can see how interestingly these are like these two SDGs are placed under like economy SDGs, because they carry like this potential. Like here in this first one, if you see, this graph actually talks about like a progress and economic growth, right? That will come from a decent like a working opportunities. First of all, working opportunities, then comes the decent working opportunities. And if most of the people are employed, they are engaged in some economic activity, overall economic growth of that place, that country is going to obviously rise, right? So with this purpose, like this focuses mostly towards like an economic goals, whether for an individual or for the society or for the whole country together. Okay, this is interrelated and interdependent on each other. Similarly, in the second one also, here in the industry, innovation and infrastructure, okay, they are so much interdependent on each other, and they so much like help each other to grow. Like industry actually helps like in creating like R&D, like activities. It's kind of like a funds and gives like a catalytic boost to like research in those applicable areas, right? Plus innovation can happen at any stage, at any time, and from anyone. For this, one need not be like coming from technical background only, right? So innovation, grassroots innovation, and such things, if you see, they are there in our society, in our culture also for a long time. Like how to make use of local resources, local energy systems, how to kind of like supply it locally, and like help like a local people in by materially and by like virtue of its qualities also, right? And overall, finally, both of these actually help and aid to the like a growth of infrastructure. Okay, so infrastructure actually provides opportunity for industries to work, and go for innovation, go for creative like solutions, and making those solutions, providing it right to the consumer, and meeting like everyone's demands, right? So this is the kind of like a combination which we can say is directly like a falling under like a economy SDGs. Next we have in line for SDG 10, reduced inequalities, and SDG 12, that is responsible consumption and production. So the first one, this goal aims to reduce inequality within and among countries. It includes targets to reduce the income gap between the rich and the poor, to ensure that all people have access to basic services and opportunities, and to empower and promote the social, economic, and political inclusion of all. So this is the ultimate goal you can see over here, like a social, economic, and political inclusion of all, so that nobody is excluded, nobody is like a not part of like this overall growth and development as a process, as a sustainable process. Okay, so bringing everyone together with equal like a respect, equal access to opportunities, equal like a share of like a resources, and like all of those like a things, right? So no disparity among like any section of the society or any person particularly in this society. Second, we have SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. This we have discussed under its main module elaborately, like how in the recent years, and Europeans, the people, and the societies and industries, coming out of like that, like a place, that region actually got spread across the world. And since then, actually the whole planet is facing its existential like a crisis. And yeah, this mindset has kind of like a plagued so much this planet right now, right? It requires like a very like a solid and effective and timely like effort to undo like those wrongs which have already happened. Okay, so we have to save it for today, we have to save it for tomorrow. And in that line, like talking about consumerism, consumption is an essential like a factor. So what it says, let's see. This goal aims to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. It includes targets to increase the resource efficiency of economies, to reduce waste and pollution, to promote sustainable agricultural and industrial practices, and to encourage businesses to adopt sustainable practice. Right? So you can see over here the overall like a purpose is to like help businesses grow and adopt sustainable practices. Well, they may be, I think, old, maybe 50-year-old, 100-year-old, or even more than that. Okay, so a lot has changed, in the last 100 years, like a 200 years. Okay, so from technology to, like a consumption, like a pattern, lifestyle, right? Aspirations, like a purchasing power, right, of like per capita purchasing power, right, and all of those things, if you see, they have changed drastically, right? So in a renewed context, like how things should be actually taken up, we need, like that thinking, that rethinking, in order to control, the damages to the overall, like environment, right? So this is this consideration. Achieving these SDGs are required to promote sustainable development and to create a better future for all by providing decent job, infrastructure, reducing inequalities, and promoting sustainable responsible consumption and production. These SDGs are interconnected, and to achieve one, it is important to work on all of them. Yeah, so as you can see in this like a statement over here, right, the overall purpose of like these SDGs is to like create jobs, creating robust infrastructure, reducing inequalities in all forms, from everywhere, and promoting responsible consumption and production, so that every user, every buyer, must also be aware of what they are buying and what are the repercussions and what are the negative impacts that product, like it can have on the ecosystem, that they must know. Now we'll move to the SDGs and socio-ecological systems at the level of society SDGs, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, 11th and 16th. Let's see. So SDG 1, no poverty. This goal aims to end poverty in all its forms everywhere. It includes targets to reduce the number of people living in extreme poverty, to increase access to basic services, and to provide social protections for the most vulnerable. So SDG 1, you can see over here, which talks about like no poverty, one of the most miserable, like a conditions, one can have in their entire, like a lifetime, is of having no access to, like a wealth, and having no actually like a, like a money or this thing, and unable to, like a feed or meet, like any of the demands. Okay, that becomes a poverty situation. Okay, so yeah, if the person, if the household is in such a, like a state, okay, it is very likely that they may be suffering from many other, like conditions and situations, arising out of, like a poverty. Next we have of SDG 2, zero hunger. This goal aims to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. It includes targets to increase agricultural productivity, reduce food loss and waste, and to ensure that all people have access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. Right? So, out of poverty, you can see a direct, like a relationship over here. We have discussed it previously in the earlier 26th module, that like a no poverty and zero hunger are quite a lot, like interdependent, and they have, like this unique relationship to share, which works in like both ways, bidirectional. Okay, because yeah, so a huge number of, like people across the world are still, under the poverty line, which means 1.25, like a dollars a day, right? So they are unable to earn, like this amount. Okay, and by default they fall, like a below poverty line, right? So yeah, so giving access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food is an essential thing, to have our future citizens, such as like a kids, and like elderly, and like a healthy adult people also, to be safe and sound, and be in the proper, like a state of their mind and physical abilities, right? Only then they can be the, like real assets for the society, for the country, and they will be able to contribute. Okay, otherwise they will become a liability. Next we have SDG 3, good health and well-being. This goal aims to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. It includes targets to reduce maternal and child mortality, to combat infectious and non-communicable diseases, and to ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health services. Right, so you can see not just physical, mental being, mental awareness, mental, like well-being is also kind of considered over here, and it talks about reducing in like maternal and child mortality, like early child mortality, like the childbirth, or maybe in the next few months after the birth, in the first month, in the first like 6 months, in the first like a year, okay, to control it to the maximum level and ensure everyone proper health and well-being all of their lifespan. Then we have SDG 4, quality education. This goal aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. It includes targets to increase enrollment and completion rates in primary, secondary, and tertiary education, to improve the quality of education, and to increase the number of trained teachers. So, like a teaching, like education is one of the, like activities which carries the largest potential to help anyone in their, like a life, whether it is about, like a subject, like a knowledge of maybe, like a some domain, like a, technical knowledge, right? Or maybe, like arts, humanities, right? Or any, like a such, like a field of knowledge, if wants to pursue, they all carry like immense opportunities and possibilities in future, right? But ensuring it to every like a member of the society is still a big challenge. We have seen under like this like SDG third like a module earlier, like a big number of like school going kids, they are unable to go, and elderly, they are also unable to like become literate, right? Next we have SDG 5, gender equality. This goal aims to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. It includes targets to eliminate discrimination against women and girls, to increase their participation in decision making, and to ensure equal access to education and employment opportunities. Next we have SDG 7, affordable and clean energy. This goal aims to ensure access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable and modern energy for all. It includes targets to increase the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix, to improve energy efficiency, and to increase access to electricity in rural and remote areas. Then we have SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities. This goal aims to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. It includes targets to increase access to basic services, to reduce disaster risk, and to promote sustainable urbanization. Then we have SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. This goal aims to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. It includes targets to reduce violence and crime, to promote the rule of law, and to increase access to justice. Finally, all these SDGs are important to the society and its development. These SDGs are aimed to end poverty, hunger, improve health, education, gender equality, access to energy, sustainable cities, and promote peace and justice. All these SDGs are important for overall sustainable development of the society. So as we can see, society SDGs actually are so relevant SDGs, which directly connect to the people, Otherwise, all of these, if people are not connected, if it is not for the people, then what is it for? Whom is it for? And what is the overall purpose? These all things will become redundant and useless. Okay, so connecting our efforts, channelizing it to the like a proper recipient and like audience is an essential thing to understand this. Moving on to the next title, SDGs and Socio-Ecological Systems, Biosphere. So Biosphere SDGs 6, 13, 14 and 15, we'll see. So the first one, SDG 6, Clean Water and Sanitation. This goal aims to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. It includes targets to increase the proportion of the population using safely managed drinking water and sanitation services to improve water quality and to protect and restore water related ecosystems. So as you can understand, like water is the, like one of the major actually sustainable, of life on this planet. Okay, well, apart from, like a sun and this earth itself and air, like a soil and, like other, like a things like atmosphere, oxygen, and all of those factors, if you'll see, they are equally important. Okay, in that, water also plays an critically like important, like a part. Like we are aware, more than, like a two-third of our body is made up of water, almost 70-71%, right, which is a, like a huge percentage. And mostly, like animals and like a plant kingdom, if you see, they are all supported by water in some form or another, right. And yeah, it is so crucial. So this goal aims to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. It includes targets to increase the proportion of the population using safely managed drinking water and sanitation services to improve water quality and to protect and restore water related ecosystem. Next we have about SDG 13, climate action. This goal aims to take urgent and significant action to combat climate change and its impacts. It includes targets to strengthen the ability of countries to deal with the impacts of climate change, to increase the use of renewable energy, and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Further, we have SDG 14, life below water. This goal aims to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. It includes targets to protect marine biodiversity, to reduce the pollution of oceans and seas, and to increase the economic benefit to small island developing states and least developed countries from the sustainable use of marine resources. So water related actually sustenance, is very important, and the life which, like harbors, like a below, like this water level, what we usually see, right, from the shore we see, like this water, like a surface, and what kind of ecosystem is there, like under, like this water, we are mostly not aware of, or maybe not all of us are aware of. Okay, that puts like this SDG for consideration, because like our waste, our like exhaustion of resources and water as a resource, everything is getting like its impact on the life below water, right. So how this can be managed is the overall, like a goal of like this course. Further, we have SDG 15, life on land. So you can understand this goal aims to protect, restore, and promote the sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems. You can note down here: forests, wetlands, mountains, and other habitats. It includes targets to protect and restore biodiversity, to combat desertification, land degradation, and loss of habitats, and to increase the area of protected and conserved terrestrial habitats. So life on land also needs protection, because like most of species which have gone extinct, they belong to the land also, right, along with the like a marine like an environment where we are not equally like aware of. Also we may not be knowing the how the life is flourishing like underwater, okay, in greater detail compared to the like a land, right. So here we can still see a lot of species which are going extinct because of the human activity, right. So how these and many other like considerations can be actually improved is the matter of concern over here. So overarching, all SDGs are related to the protection and sustainable management of the biosphere. These SDGs are aimed to ensure access to clean water and sanitation, combat climate change, protect and sustainably use marine and terrestrial ecosystems, and conserve biodiversity. These SDGs are important for the protection of the natural resources and the preservation of life on earth for future generations. So how this life and all of those factors which are crucial for sustaining life on this planet can be maintained in the same proportion, for the times to come, for the whole future, for our future generations, is the major actually objective of like establishing SDGs, and putting up so much of emphasis on its applications, effective applications. In conclusion, the SDGs are a comprehensive set of global goals that aim to achieve sustainable development in all areas of society. The SDGs are discussed in this presentation, including economy SDGs, society SDGs, and biosphere SDGs, are all interconnected and mutually reinforcing. Achieving these goals will require significant investments, implementation planning, and capacity building, as well as collaboration and coordination among governments, the private sector, civil society, and international organizations. The SDGs are an ambitious but necessary agenda for addressing the pressing challenges of our time, and achieving them will require the commitment and efforts of all stakeholders. So here we will see some more narratives. So you see this triangle, sourced from here, which talks about level 1. If you see at the bottom, natural capital, right? Solar energy, the biosphere, earth materials, biochemical cycles, etc. They compose this natural capital, right? And yeah, these actually provide the ultimate like a means, and from here actually we go about science and technology, and we make our own human capital or built capital. You can see it over here, okay, like labor, tools, factories, infrastructure, things, processed raw materials, etc., etc. Those are all actually products of human intervention, right? So intermediate means you can see over here. From here we go to actually the level of political economy, and in this political economy the intermediate ends come, such as a human capital and social capital, like health, wealth, leisure, mobility, knowledge, communication, consumer goods, okay, and then finally reaching to the ultimate goals via a theology and ethics and all of those a spiritual quotients, okay, about final well-being. Okay, so not just physical ones, like a mental well-being, like happiness, harmony, identity, fulfillment, self-respect, community, transcendence, enlightenment, at individual and as a collective, like a national level also, because it puts you at the very high, like a platform, very high, like a place, like how one can actually, like a benefit, from these and reach to that states. Finally, towards the end of this module, we have these interdependencies. You can see shown by this like a graphic, nested interdependencies. In the center we have economy, right here, flanked by society, right, and then lastly we have Earth's like a life support system, this environment and the surrounding and everything, okay. So this is this understanding that economy comes first, but it is very small in its footprint, and like it's kind of a inclusiveness. So this set, if you see, is the bigger set, okay, and then subset and then subset, right? So this is this arrangement of like a nestling one inside like another. So this also shows like this an interrelationship, how these qualities, how these like domains, three different like these domains and aspects actually come with respect to each other, right? So with this we have come to the end of this module. Thank you all for joining. See you in the next class.